Welcome back to Texas History. Go ahead and open your books to page 590, the New Deal. By the way, this is going to be our last chapter that we'll be working in Texas History before you move on to 8th grade U.S. History. So next week, hopefully sometime, we can work out a time for a meeting with each class so I can talk to you guys, kind of wrap up our end of the year talks and things like that. A couple things I want to say to you guys before the beginning of next year and as you go into summer break. But let's go ahead and pick up here with Franklin Roosevelt's New Deal. During the Great Depression, many Americans began blaming President Hoover. And so in the next election, Americans overwhelmingly voted for Franklin Delano Roosevelt. In fact, more than 88% of Texans, just Texans, voted for Roosevelt. Roosevelt ran on a policy of saying, I want to cut government debt, but I also want to use the government to get us out of the Great Depression. We're going to see that those two statements, those are actually oxymorons there. But John Garner, a Texan, was actually his vice president. Sam Rayburn, a representative from Texas, played an important role in Congress by helping pass laws approved by Roosevelt. In fact, there's a lake called Sam Rayburn Lake, and there's also a high school here in Houston, in Pasadena area, Sam Rayburn High School. All right, so moving on to the alphabet agencies. So under Franklin Roosevelt, which they often called FDR, under FDR, the government began creating new agencies to create jobs for the unemployed. And so because these agencies were referred to by their initials, they were known as alphabet agencies. One alphabet agency was the CCC, otherwise known as the Civilian Conservation Corps. The CCC hired young men to work on projects that would preserve natural resources. So they built several state parks. And so the government is basically paying these men to complete projects. And how is he going to cut down on the federal debt or on the budget if he's paying people using taxes and money that we don't have? The Works Progress Administration, known as the WPA, they built bridges, dams, and schools as well in this region. But the New Deal did not end the Great Depression. But there were some good things about it in that unemployment did decline. But the thing is, it never went under 14%, which is very high. Government power was increased. This is where we kind of see a pivotal shift in government in the United States. Before the New Deal, the government didn't have as much power. But after FDR's presidency, we see that the government becomes huge, basically putting us on a path for where we are today. Many political leaders, including Vice President Garner, even disagreed with Roosevelt on the limit of government power. They were kind of like, the government's getting a little bit too powerful here for our liking. Federal spending increased. The U.S. was $6 billion in debt once the New Deal was finished. So he didn't follow through with his campaign promise of reducing the debt. Social Security was created, which is still in use today, where when you get a paycheck, not only are taxes going to be taken out, but also money will be taken out by the government and put into your Social Security fund, which once you reach a certain age, after you retire, once you reach a certain age, you'll be able to receive checks from the government that are coming from your Social Security account. Now, this is debated by people over whether or not this is a good thing, and here's how I can put the two sides. One side says that Social Security is not good because it's the government forcefully taking money from you, saying, we know you're probably not going to save your money wisely, so we're going to do it for you. And so they take it from you, and then they say, this is when we think that we'll be able to give you your check. So it's kind of condescending by the government. But then there's a side that says, you know what? They can take it from me, and then once I reach a certain age, they'll give me these checks, and I'll be able to live off of, somewhat live off of these checks. But here's the scary thing, is that the government has been spending money that is associated with these Social Security funds. And so I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of it personally because I think it's just government overreach. Who's the government to tell me that they can take my money and when they can give it back to me? But that's just my opinion. But the New Deal did give many Americans hope because it provided jobs. And for a lot of people, when they have jobs, they feel fulfilled. They feel like they have a purpose. And so that was a good thing about the New Deal. Okay, so you have homework. You need to read pages 598 to 600, and you need to stop at the section entitled Texas Minorities Push for Basic Rights. And then you need to complete and submit reading assessment number 9. All right, well, I hope everything's going well for you guys. Look forward to seeing you next time.